hello, and welcome to this week's episode of She's All That podcast. Today I'm going to speak about detachment. Detachment can take form at work, in your personal life, in relationships, and why I the reason why we need to detach ourselves sometimes is just to remain or retain our peace of mind. So, how do we do that? I, as a person, I'm passionate about a lot of things, and you might be too. So you could be passionate about certain projects. You could be passionate about the environment, about animal welfare, about your work, about the importance of family. So you give your everything into your passions, right? Your energy, your whole soul. The thing is, sometimes when we put in too much passion into it, we want to take control of everything that is related to it, and that's not really a good thing. So if you can find a middle spot that is going to work better for you in terms of your own well-being. Mental fatigue and burnout is actually a real thing, although my husband doesn't really believe in stress or fatigue or burnout, but it does exist. And some of the brightest people with the immense energy and passion go through this phase of extreme exhaustion, which might last for months, if not years. So you your well-being really has to be at the epicenter of your being. You might want to put everything else above and beyond you, but you should be putting yourself first, because if you don't put yourself first, then you won't be able to be there for people who need you, right? So sometimes attachment comes with a very strong urge to control circumstances, and while you can exercise some amount of control over what happens in your life, it will not eliminate the possibility of things going wrong. So even for instance, I was selling seafood for the past few weekends as a part-time thing, just to test the market. And things were going great. Orders were coming in, but in the droves for the first 2 weeks, and then obviously people won't be buying seafood for the rest of the week, rest of the month, because they have enough stock. But then in a good way, it actually turned out for the better, because the supplier which I had, who was super reliable, who was always very communicative, suddenly had issues that he faced, and delayed my deliveries. He didn't come. I couldn't deliver to my customers. I was so worried that my customers would be angry with me, obviously, because sometimes people plan meals ahead of time. Sometimes they invite family members to come over to enjoy a night on seafood. So when I got news immediately from the supplier, I updated my customers and I explained to them the situation, and they were very understanding, thankfully. But it happened not once; it happened twice, and I was really worried for the next weekend when he delivered already, for that one order. Okay, everything was fine. When he finally delivered the next order, I was in such an anxious state you won't believe, because you don't know, this kind of things are just out of your control. But when you put it into perspective, what can you do really? You can look for other suppliers, but they might not be able to match the price point that you've already promised your customers, or even the quality that you have promised your customers. So sometimes it's just best to go with the flow. And so that's one thing. Another problem could be, when you put so much passion into something, it could lead to delusional thinking. I'm sure you've heard about people saying that love is blind. What they really imply is that feeling too much passion and attachment towards something can really screw our perception of it. So we become biased, we're unwilling to accept the possibility of things going wrong. And we're even unwilling to see the flaws in our plan, because we want things to go our way, and we can be oblivious to the truth that is right in front of us. So sometimes, if you're in business, in fact, you are so passionate about it working that you don't see it not working, and you're putting your everything, you're putting in more money, more money, more money into something that is destined to fail because of certain things that will are not meant to be in going in that direction. Perhaps there's a flaw in the product, perhaps there's a flaw in the system. So just pumping your money into something does not solve the problem if you're pumping the money in the wrong place. So be it in our work, be it in our relationships or anything else in our life that we're passionate about, we need to sometimes just step back, right? So you should always stick to the idea of self well-being that is independent of anything else in your life. Strip yourself from your work, strip yourself from your relationship. What does that leave you? Who are you? And you shouldn't judge yourself on your level of work or the or things that happen to you. um, you should just accept yourself as you. Letting things that you feel passionate about, that actually controls your mood, your energy levels, and your overall enthusiasm towards life, is not a very healthy approach, as you're relying over something external. So something that is not entirely under your control should not dictate your life. The only difference between people who collapse after failure or loss and those who dust themselves off and start again usually know how to detach themselves from the situation. So it's the art of withdrawing desire from lesser things, letting them fall away so as to harness their power to reach the heights of what a human being can attain. So you shouldn't be obviously too detached either. Sometimes as an Aquarian, though, yeah, I don't really believe in zodiacs and stuff, but that is my zodiac. And Aquarians are known to be cold hearted. But that's actually a misconception, I feel. We're more like, we're very objective people, and it helps us make better decisions. So when you detach yourself from a scenario, you are able to see things more clearly, and you're not actually taking sides, though parties that want you to be involved would say, why are you not taking my side? And it's not that we don't want to take your side, it's just that we want to be as objective as possible to tell the situation as it is, and to actually be able to solve a problem at the core. So yeah, so Aquarians aren't just cold, we're just objective. And an easy thing to do to start with, when you're trying to detach yourself from being too passionate, would perhaps be detaching yourself from material goals. Sometimes we all feel that the purpose in life is to make as much money as possible, to be rich. When you have earned your 1 million, you'll be happy. Or if you own your Ferrari, you'll be happy. Or if you are gonna own a three-level multi-story house in the farm or in the at the beach or the sea or on the mountain, you'll be happy. But when you're putting these goals as something that will make you happy, it's gonna be disappointing when you actually get these things and you're not happy. So you should be happy even when you don't have the material things that you want yet, because sometimes these material things is just going to bring in more debt, more stress, more anxiety, more loneliness, more, even sometimes depression. That's why you see celebrities, they seem to have everything they want in life, right? But they're still depressed. Why? There's something still missing and they don't know what. And it's not just the riches, there's something else that they should be looking for within themselves. Okay. And detachment in relationships, sometimes, toxic relationships, we feel that we want to make the other person happy, so you try to solve the other person's problems all the time. But really, sometimes the best you can do is just listen and get the person to solve his own problems. If not, he'll never learn how to do it himself. And you'll always be depending on him being happy or her happy for yourself to be happy. So it might be with your parents or with your spouse or your best friends. There is a need to practice a certain amount of detachment. And you need to understand that you're the master of your own life. And you need to draw boundaries so that others don't control you and bring you down with them. It might sound selfish, but it isn't. It is really about taking care of yourself so that you can take care of others. And what about experiences? Life is meant to be lived. It might not go our way all the time, but that's why we experience life and why we appreciate things more when we have gone through hardship. It's one thing to take learnings from the experience and move further in life with new wisdom, and it is totally another thing to carry the bitterness, guilt, and regret over past experiences and letting them taint your present days. Emotional baggage, that's what they call it. What about work? Does work describe you? Do you have few interests outside of work? You feel restless when you're not working. You don't know what to talk about when you're not working or when you're not talking about work. You make yourself available to people at work all the time. And when you're at home with family, you're always thinking about work. If this sounds like you, it's time to detach yourself a little bit. It's not good for you, even though you think, yeah, no effect on me. I'm an energizer battery bunny. I can go on and on and on and on, but really your body cannot take it, your mind cannot take it, and you might not realize it, but over time you will shut down whether you like it or not. So detachment from work really means that you do not rely on work alone or to give you a feeling of completeness and to provide a meaning to your life. And yeah, so that's what I just wanted to talk about today. I hope that you'll be able to find a way to detach yourself from toxic relationships, from too much work, from too much thinking, from material goals. Put yourself in the present. A lot of our anxieties are caused by us thinking there's not enough time to do everything we want to do. So we put plans, lots of plans, but when we cannot achieve them, we feel useless. So just take things one day at a time and try to focus on yourself, um, and be forgiving with yourself, more forgiving of yourself than ever, right? So I hope you have gotten something from today's podcast. And if you do have questions or comments, please do leave your comments in the box below. Um, Also, leave your likes if you think this has been beneficial to you, and do share the video. We try to update our podcast every Wednesdays. We've got some new videos by Sarah every Saturday. We've got other programs on BTV like Marketing Uncut on Fridays if you're looking for social commerce. And yeah, so that's our focus for the time being. We would love to have you comment as much as possible, or leave us ideas on what you want us to cover. Until then, until next week, have a great week. Thank you. Hanniz signing out.